Bhadram karnebhi shrnuyama devaha Bhadram pashyemakshabiryajatraha Stirairangaihi tushtuvagam sastanubhihi Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu Svastina indro vrdhashravaha Svastina pusha vishwavedaha Svastina starkshyo arishtanemihi Svastino brahaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the conversation has begun between the teacher and the student student being ready to ask has received the answer or is receiving the answer. And before he received the answer about the reality, what is reality, the teacher, Angiras, firstly pointed out the significance of what the student was about to learn. And to do this, the teacher had to contrast two kinds of knowledges. The one type which you are familiar with, where you know something, then we do what we know, we wait for the results, and we get the results. And then we again assess, and then we again do something, and so it is a it's a circular pattern. And this kind of knowledge, apara, vidya, is additive. In other words, everything becomes about addition and everything becomes about learning, which is a wonderful trait. If you're a learner, this is a brilliant mindset to have. The little trick though is that when the whole life becomes about a means of pursuit of more knowledge, in fact, Veda can be interpreted as coming to the end of the seeking of more knowledge. And you can, or you may perhaps relate to how much it can be a pressure, or it can be stressful even, to be exposed to so much knowledge and you feel like I've got to know it all. And this journey stops when you understand that there is a different kind of knowledge, which is paravidya, which is subtractive in nature, which lets you know that I don't have to, it's not my job to know everything in this world. Me as a small being, I'm not supposed to be the Lord. The Lord is the one that has the universe in his hands, in the palm of his hands, who runs the universe 24/7, who will continue to run the universe when you and I are gone. We just have to learn the basics, do our little duty, our swadharma, our part in this world, play to the best of our ability, and understand in our doing so, things will come our way, things will come your way, and they will not always be according to your expectations. And when they're not, look what has to be done. What's next? Now that I've received some feedback and it's not working as I hope for, what's next? And this journey requires persistence and devotion and dedication. Anything good and useful and productive in life comes with dedication. It's just the name of the game. That's how it always was. So this means that with so doing, your part in this world, you also come to, like Shaunaka has, to the teacher and ask, what is this higher knowledge? The knowledge that will free me from the need to know more knowledge about myself and about the world, because there's just no ending to it. And then Angiras pointed a basic analogy of the golden ornament, and the fact that there are many ornaments here, sitting on chairs. Ornament, hello ornaments, how are you? Okay, and if we look at each other like an ornament, then there's a tendency to compare. And when there's a comparison, then what ensues is jealousy, or a sense of shame, or a sense of unworthiness. So this means as long as our focus is on names of this and forms of this world, they will always induce a certain psychological pressure that I'm not good enough and that I play an insignificant role in this world. Because at any moment you look anywhere, you will probably find someone that is shining. They will have, teja, they will have brilliance in them. And so this journey never stops. And we sometimes call this living a life of quiet desperation, where I am desperate to be someone. And no matter how much I try, I am still finding myself back to square one. And this is what Narada discovered after having learned so much that he still was not what he hoped for, to have all the knowledge in the universe. He still felt quite disempowered by that. So now, if you and I are not even close to Narada's capacity of knowing, we only know maybe a fraction, then you begin to ask yourself, what do I do with all of this knowledge and how much do I need to know? The answer is just enough. Just enough to have a good life, to appreciate the presence of the Lord in all things, which is what the text will continue showing us. And, drop the body. This is just one ornament. It was meant to go one day. It will go one day. And therefore you develop a much more, focused approach in life. Like, I'm an ornament, you're an ornament. We play our little part in this world. There is no better or worse. You're like a puzzle. Take one puzzle from the big picture. It's not a big picture anymore. You see the big picture on the wall now. You take one little puzzle out. What's the first thing you're going to notice? The incompletion of that entire puzzle. So this means once in a while we need to reassess our position and see that we're not just these insignificant people running with these small little roles. Everyone's got challenges, struggles, but that's part of human experience. And so by doing your part in this world, like Shaunaka, you also attend to the self-knowledge. That's all that's being asked of us. And so then the teacher has now introduced the two bases, the two kinds of knowledge, higher knowledge and lower knowledge. Then he says, okay, so now that you know this higher knowledge, the satya mithya knowledge, where everything is dependent upon its cause, all of the effects are dependent and resolvable into the cause, that's satya mithya, higher knowledge. And the other kind of knowledge is mithya knowledge. So one is satya mithya knowledge, the other is mithya knowledge. So therefore, then he says, what is this satyam? What is this substance? What is this material into which everything resolves, into which the trees resolve, into which your thoughts are made of, into which this wall is made of, and this plant is made of, and this cup is made of? What is that one substance? And then the teacher goes into verse 6 and he calls it Aksharam Brahma. And this is the imperishable Brahman. And he equates now consciousness or awareness to the gold and equates time, space, objects, forms, anything that you can see or anything that is formed in time, anything that is attributes, anything that is born now, it wasn't there a moment ago, anything that is graspable by any means, by your sense perception, it's graspable. I got it. If you say you got it, you haven't got it because you grasped something. Okay? And it is anything that is visible is also mithya. Therefore, Brahman is adreshyam, it is invisible, invisible to our senses, invisible. You will never be able to see it. Now, you're going to ask an objection. Then how will I know it? If I can't see it, then how will I know it? That thought, how will I know it, is also pervaded by its material cause. So just the fact that the thought has arisen, that thought is understood to be Aksharam Brahma. And the knower of that thought is also Aksharam Brahma. And the thinking process is Aksharam Brahma. So do you see what's happening? We constantly catch ourselves and we go into the thought. We look at the mithya, we go into the ornament. Yeah, but this ornament is unpleasant. It doesn't look good. Because the orientation of the mind is to do that. So what is the verse showing us? To return and ask, what's the material cause of this thought? That's the key in what we call viveka. Otherwise, all life will go back into mithya, 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 ornament, 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 ornament. The ornaments never end. But wherever there is an ornament, wherever there is a thought, a concern, joy, happiness, peace, that's exactly where its material cause is. Therefore, the positive attributes, some of them were, Brahman is one which becomes many. And we said, therefore, it is not emptiness, and it is not to be understood as such, rather it is all that is. You cannot say that this is nothing. This has a certain reality to it. And we call this reality? We call this? Mithya. And why do we call this mithya? Explain. It's seen. Got it. Got it. Now, do I have to destroy this dear plant to get to Satyam? No. Why not? It won't help me. It won't look good on my account, right? What are you doing, Andre? Okay, why not? Why don't I have to destroy my thought to get to myself? Why don't I have to destroy my thoughts to get to self? Got it. Wherever there is an effect, a thought is an effect, that's exactly where the cause is. So in other words, the cause is constantly manifesting, shaping and molding in the form of thoughts. And what we do is we keep on saying, oh, I don't like this shaped and molded Aksharam Brahma. What I want is Aksharam Brahma. What? There is Aksharam Brahma in a form of thought. So do you have to transcend thoughts to get to Aksharam Brahma? No. One more time, question, why? Because it's there anyway. Okay, so what will you ask when, suppose, we go, as we will, and the thought of, oh, I had it, and now there was a lovely, thing in the class, but now I forgot it. What will be your fallback to re-remember the teaching, the basic teaching? What would that basic teaching be to recall that wherever a thought is, that's exactly where its material is? What would that be for you?
I'm the one seeing it.
Hmm?
I'm the one seeing it.
Yeah, if it's seen, I am there. I have not gone anywhere. Because it's occurring in the presence of the self. It's witnessed by I, the self. So I haven't gone anywhere. Okay? So this is a crucial teaching because again, the tendency is to return back to mithya forms. And mithya forms keep on bothering the individual. And they will not stop. Because that is the nature of mithya. It keeps changing, usually not in a completely pleasant manner. It keeps on changing over and over again. It is, the person has to eventually start to understand, hey, where there is a thought, that's where the truth is. That's where its truth is. And that very truth of that thought is the truth of everything in this universe. And we will see how does this consciousness, awareness, manifest as all of this. This is coming up. And then we said it's avyayam, it's imperishable, it never changes. What does this mean for you? Yeah, so you can't get it. You can't get it. You already have to have it. You can't get it. Because to get it means it now changed. It was not there, it was not all pervasive, and now I got it. If it is sarvagatam, all pervasive, then if that all pervasiveness excludes you, is it all pervasive? No. Therefore, you cannot exclude yourself. All pervasive and never changes, which means there will never be a time when you're more conscious than you're conscious now. That consciousness is the reality, Aksharam Brahma. So as Shan said, you can relax. You're not experiencing a fraction of consciousness now. And then one day enlightenment comes, and then I'm experiencing the full scale of consciousness. And you say, wow, now this is liberation, what they call in the scriptures. Whatever is true now will always be true. The only thing that's going to change is your thoughts. Mithya is going to change. Tomorrow your thoughts will be different than today. But what's going to be there tomorrow, as is here now? The seer of the thought, the one in whose presence that thought is revealed. To further understand the nature of yourself as consciousness, the scriptures employ a method called neti-neti. And what they do is, neti-neti means negation. So we first have to negate and see how you are not the ornament, the body-mind ornament. We'll start with the body and then we'll go to the thoughts. And firstly, we have to see that there is an I am, and that I am is mixed with my body and mind. That's the fundamental error. That's what everyone is running around thinking my I am is as good as my body and mind. That's it. That's the fundamental error in all times, past, present, and future, in all history. In 1 million years from now, imagine what the world will look like then, right? 1 million years from now, what are we going to be pursuing? I don't know. But what will be the fundamental error? The same error that is the error right now. I'm a body, mind, and I need to get stuff to be fulfilled. Therefore, we're going to use what's called anvaya vyatireka. This is a prakriya. Prakriya means method. So just think of this as present or non-negatable. It doesn't leave. It's non-negatable. And V for vanishes, or in other words, negatable. So this goes away. Or to say vanishes. Yeah, something, this is true and this can be negated. Anvaya is always true and vyatireka can be negated. So as we go through the inquiry, that which is always true should always be anvaya, and that which is you are not should be vyatireka. Okay. So let's look at our waking state. Right now, this is called the waking state. Hello. Hello, wakers. Okay. What's here now? Let's start with your body. Let's just focus on the body. So body is, when I say body is, it just means you have a body right now, yeah? Cool. So body is, what else is there besides the body?
Mind is?
We'll put the mind later on. Yes, just focus on the body. So body is, and what else is there? Me, right? I am. Now, what about daydreaming in the waking state? Daydreaming. Huh? Oh, sorry, I'm back. You know that experience? Especially when we were kids, we always daydreamed. Andre? Huh? Oh, sorry. In that moment, did you have any awareness of the body? You were in your own world. So body is not. But what was there in that daydream? I was. I am. What about the dream? Do you have a body? Do you feel your hunger, your physical body's hunger in the dream? Any pain, physical body pain in the dream? No? If you satiate the hunger or the thirst of a dream body, does it satiate the thirst and the hunger of the physical body? No. It would be quite cool too, though. Just dream, eat some food, wake up, save yourself the money. Dream, so body is not. But what's in the dream? I am. That's why you go to dream, because you know that your I am, which is also over here, is not going to go away. If it were to disappear, you would not dare dream, because nobody wants to go out of existence. That's the biggest fear, to go out of existence. I want to exist. That's the basic primal urge. I want to exist. I don't want to go out of existence. Not for a moment. Of course, that urge comes onto our physical bodies, and then we want to keep the body as healthy as possible and live as long as we can. But that's not possible. So what does this show? I don't need the body to survive. What survives? I am. I am survives. Now, what's the difference between this I am and consciousness? Or Aksharam Brahma? What's the difference? Suppose you say there's no difference. I'm going to ask you, how do you show there's no difference between that which remains, right now I am, daydreaming I am, waking, dream I am. So this, and how do you show that they're exactly the same?
And to know, you must be.
Yeah, you must be the conscious one. I must be, have consciousness. So I am, so what is there during the I am? Well, consciousness. Me, the consciousness one. Me, the awareful one, am there. So I am and consciousness are exactly the same. And this I am, or consciousness, Aksharam Brahma, is the truth of everything, is the truth of the universe. Everything is Aksharam Brahma. Now, what about a thought? Now we'll go into the mind. How about, are you thinking about, of course you're going to start thinking about when I say it, right? But now you're not thinking about it. House. Okay? So house is, keep thinking about the house, please. House. I am, right? You know that you are while thinking about the house. Okay. Elephant, please. Elephant. So house is not, because you're not thinking about the house. But I am. I, the awareful, conscious being, am. So I don't need to keep thinking about a thought to exist. That's all your mind is. It's just thoughts. Another name for mind is thought. Now you can replace, you don't have to do this to every single thought. If it's true for one thought, it's true for every thought. Every concern. So you can put 1,000,000 thoughts here. We can give 1,000,000 different examples. It's going to be exactly the same. When that thought is gone, I remain. So I don't need the presence of a thought to survive. You're experiencing the death of your physical body and your mind every second. You were always dying, by the way. There was nothing but death every single moment. And throughout that death, even now, you've already died 1,000,000 times. Your body has died, your thoughts have died 1,000,000 times already. But there is a conscious, available presence that never leaves. I am, which is Aksharam Brahma. Okay? And before the house thought was born, what was there before? Same, I am. So before the thought arises, I am. While the thought is going on, I am. After the thought goes away, I am. Past, present, and future. Where everything else is changing. Why is a thought house called mithya? Remember what mithya means? Dependent. So in other words, the house thought depends on the presence of Aksharam Brahma to exist. So Aksharam Brahma is lending its existence to a thought. And the thought is appearing as whatever it is, a house thought. Okay, so that's called neti neti. The next step is you have to now reclaim what you negated. You can't just say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. Yeah, but Aksharam Brahma, we said, is the everything. So I can't just say, okay, I've negated, go home. No, I have to now reclaim back what I negated. Therefore, now we understand, what have I negated? The house. I've realized that I don't need the body to exist. I survive without the body. I survive without the thought. And that which survives is the very truth of every thought. The very substance of every thought. The very substance of every physical, component. Your fingers, your nails, the world, the sun, the air that we breathe right now. But is your body you? Yes. Are you the body? No. Why not? If you were your body, what kind of a logical problem would that entail? Let's get a little bit questioning mode. Let me put it this way. If you were the mind, what would happen if you were the mind?
I would die in deep sleep.
Good. I would die in deep sleep. If you were the mind, go on.
I would be crazy.
Huh?
I would be crazy.
How would you be crazy?
Because the mind is going all directions all the time.
Okay. It's a unique way.
I would be changing any moment.
Okay. But then I can now challenge that and say, but there is only change. So, if I look at myself as the mind, I see myself as changing all the time anyway.
No, but then you could not see any change.
Okay.
Change asks for
Okay.
the movement of the mind is seen. That's why we can call it change. Otherwise I would be stuck there.
In other words, you can recognize the past, present, and future because of something that is outside of time. I can only recognize change if there is something changeless. Logic. If you were the mind, could you go to sleep? No way. The only way you can go to sleep is when the mind shuts down. But you gladly go to sleep. You know that I'm going to be there in deep sleep. Otherwise, you would not dare go to sleep because that will be the end of me. And nobody wants to end. We all want to go to sleep. Yes, finally sleep tonight. Why? So I can get rid of this person. And that's joyful, isn't it? After all of the, the joys that we have, and we load our bodies with liquids and these feel-good substances, what is something that at the end of the day, that person, after being 10 hours high on LSD, what do they want to do? They just want to sleep. Even if the LSD has provided something magnificent, out of the ordinary, end of the day, they conclude, I just want to be me. Without any superimpositions, without any obstructions, without the mind. I want to be without the mind. You look forward to ending your mind every single night. And yet in the waking, right now, we say, oh, I love my mind. Let me think. So Ishvara has an amazing way of its design. On one hand, you love your mind, you can do great things. But on the other hand, you want to get rid of the mind. So it's almost like there's a Lord. Lord has built in the system. Say, hey, since most of us are busy and we're not going to have time to think about these things, I'm going to force everyone to remember their nature. Sleep. And you go, end of everything, finally I am myself without any additions of the mind or a person. I just want to get rid of this person. So, do you want to go to sleep? Yes? So what does this mean? Do you love sleep? When you say I want to go to sleep, are you saying I want to go to dream? How do you know that? If your mind is not in deep sleep. I want to go to sleep. Do you mean I want to go to dream? No. What you really mean is I want to go to that place other than the dream where there is no mind or person called my name. Now, how do you know that if the mind's not there? Or why are you even looking forward to that place if you're not going to be there, if your mind's not going to be there? Because you will be there without any blockages, without any thoughts about insecurity or smallness, or free, finally free for a moment. And then the moment there's a waking, your life comes. Superimposed in front. And then Akshara Brahman, looking through the eyes of this instrument, looking through the brain, conditioned to think in a certain manner, to speak a certain language, to have certain ideas about itself, and then it walks with complications. Until, again, it goes into deep sleep to relax. And then you come to see, wow, what I really want is myself. Nothing else. The fullness of myself without any obstructions. Like a mosquito that bites you. Suppose you're the body, you're as good as the body, and a mosquito bites you. What do you want to do? Scratch. Why do you scratch it? To make it worse? Well, it is going to get worse, and yet you still scratch. Because that temporary relief is worth it. Fully knowing well that it's only going to make the thing worse. But you want your natural state scratch-free. You want to do whatever it takes to get rid of it. Even though it's being made worse. In that same manner, we move through this world scratching different things in life. Scratching. Knowing fully well this is not the right thing to do. But I want to scratch. Why? Because I just want myself. I can't stand limitation. So I want to scratch. And no scratch works. It makes everything much bigger until vidya comes in. And shows you that even the scratch that you're scratching is mithya. Why are you scratching mithya? And even your like for mithya is also mithya. So you start to see, well, even if I scratch, what am I really scratching? It's like the ornament is scratching, a little golden lump on itself. Wants to get back to the gold. So it scratches the mithya lump. Wait a minute, the lump is gold, the scratching is gold, my desire to get rid of the scratch is gold. So what's the problem then? I can't accept this lump because my mind is on the lump and not on the Aksharam Brahma, the substance. And then this repeats again until one day you say, things have to change. I have to start shifting my focus onto that which is pervading all forms, all experiences, all thoughts. That is the wise person. And therefore you finally become at peace. Do you become at peace because you've gotten rid of the scratches? No, what brings you peace? Acceptance that the very scratch I'm scratching will never go away because it is just mithya. It's okay, scratch. Leave it alone.
But then it's funny that we long for going to deep sleep, but we don't long to die.
Yeah, we don't long to die. Yeah. Because our identity is still in the as good as the body mind. So if it ends, then I will end. Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it, how that's built in.
Yeah. Because it's the same thing happening. The only
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the whole thing starts all over again. Your mind is being put in a new situation. The karma thing. Maybe
that's
the
not
reason.
giving me the fear.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, we die almost every day, you could say.
Yeah, but it's funny that the longing,
Yeah.
fear, is such a contradiction while what's happening is the same.
Meister Eckhart says life wants to live because of itself. Life wants to live. It's in life
Yeah.
that it wants to live.
Yeah, because in a bigger picture, life is just already fine as it is. And then we say it shouldn't be like this. And then we resist that. But life has always been going on.
But we logically, we can think, we can read, but we don't know that we continue. That's something you don't know. You can imagine, but nobody come back and so
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah, no one can tell you. Yeah, no one can tell.
somehow you're in trust that you sleep, you will continue. Your nature says that or something, but you don't know the other thing.
After death, you mean? Yeah, yeah. You can't really, you can't show, but at the same time, you can show slowly through some logics, because we're talking about the substance, so nothing really destroys itself. It just changes. It just changes.
Unless, that was a question already, unless you realize this gold, somehow it's just knowledge, it stays knowledge.
Yeah. Until you realize it, then you understand it's fine. The body will go.
Yeah,
But where's your identity now? Onto the very thing that is all pervasive. Can you thus come back as one form if your your understanding of self has shifted from one ornament to the very substrate, to the very substance of all that is? Can that come back? No, because it is all that is. As long as I see myself as different from Akshara Brahman, I will keep on appearing different. When I change my identity, understanding of self, to that which is sarvagatam, all-pervasive, then after dropping the body, how can I get another body if my I is now the whole thing? You create yourself.
If you are God, I use simple words, you can create whatever you can. Because that's the creation.
And that is all the time true, and that creation is nothing but you.
Yeah.
So there's nothing.
So really being created. It's just you that is taking on different mithya forms. Yeah. So we're not trying to get rid of anything. Just understanding whatever is already true now is totally fine. It's totally fine. It's mithya. The truth of mithya is always satyam. There's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing to look outside. What are you going to find? Just more mithya. Go to a different country, pay $5,000 for travel tickets. What are you going to see? More trees mithya. A nice beach mithya, more fine sand mithya, waitresses mithya, glass with umbrella with a lemon mithya. So in a sense, you can still enjoy, but it also gives you objectivity. What am I really chasing here? It's all mithya. It's just mithya. The whole world is mithya. In 1,000 years, more mitya. 1500s, dinosaur age, more mitya. We don't have mitya dinosaurs now, we have mitya rodents, mitya monkeys, mitya humans. And even the humans mitya will change into a different kind of, imagine what we'll look like 1,000,000 years from now, right? Mitya. We're not going to look like this, that's for sure. What do you think, taller, shorter?
Taller.
Why?
Because we're getting taller. Dutch people get taller.
Yeah, Dutch people, 3 meters now. So mitya keeps on changing. The story, the script keeps on shuffling and shuffling and shuffling and shuffling. Never ends. Wherever the story is, its material cause is always satyam. And that satyam is known to you right now as I am. One more question. Who's doing this inquiry? Who's doing this inquiry right now? Who's asking the questions? Who's answering these questions? And who's having a conversation? Satyam with the help of the mind. That's a good one. Okay. Satyam with the help of mitya.
I think you need the mind. You can only do this investigation in the waking state.
Yes, yes, yes. And even the waking state is mitya. Dream state is mitya, and deep sleep is mitya. So we're only now in the waking state, experiencing and inquiring. If you were in the dream mitya, it would be as real as waking if you just dreamt a little bit longer. We just take this state to be real because it's more stable and it's longer. You put a person on some kind of liquid, and they're dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. For them, that world is as more real than this world. I even read about NDEs, near-death experiences. Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of cases. The world, the moment this body ended, the world that I was in was more real, and I didn't want to come back. A moment ago, I loved my husband. I didn't want to leave him. The moment this body, heart stopped, I saw, they say from top down or wherever, and I felt at home. I didn't want to come back because I knew, hey, that body is no attachment to the body whatsoever. 1 second from waking state death into the next mitya world, the next mitya continuity. It felt more real than this. So even your idea of real is mitya.
It's all ideas. The one who's thinking about it is also an idea.
Yeah.
It's only concept.
It's just another manifestation, another thinker. So who's doing this inquiry? I, whose truth is Aksharam Brahma, whose identity is in the body and mind, and my job is to understand through the body and mind that the truth of this body and mind and the person is Aksharam Brahma. Because there's only Aksharam Brahma here right now. Only Brahman. Right now. Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. Everything's Brahman, Aksharam Brahman. Imperishable awareness. Who's doing the inquiry? Imperishable awareness, who is all-pervasive, who has put its identity in one ornament, whose job now is through that ornament to discover that the truth of that ornament is Aksharam Brahma. And that takes place through knowledge, yeah, which is what we're doing now.
And that knowledge comes through negating all that is changing.
Negating all ideas that we thought we are. Yeah, as we said, through neti neti. And this is the one method to do that negation. Okay, now the next question is, how does the universe come from consciousness? And this will be in the next verse. How does this consciousness manifest as infinite forms? And we will start with verse 7, which is going to give 3 analogies, and then we will go into more detail. So verse 7. Yatha urnan abhihi srjate grihnate cha yatha prativyam oshadhayaha sambhavanti yatha asataha purushat keshalomani tatha aksharat sambhavati iha vishwam. So 3 examples are given, or 3 analogies. The first is the spider analogy, which is extremely common in Vedanta. So where is the spider analogy borrowed from? Mundaka Upanishad. And here it wants to say that, see, what does a spider do? Chills out and eats mosquitoes, right? And makes the web, okay? So what does a spider have special about itself? It makes web, okay? From itself, okay? And also the web is very intelligently designed. It's, you know, it's structurally very well put. In fact, we copy those structures to make strong, you know, building foundations. So the spider has a certain intelligence in it and a material that is the web. So in that sense, we can say the spider is both the material cause and the efficient cause. Another name for efficient is intelligent cause. The material cause and the intelligent cause. And what does a spider have a motive for building the web? Yes, it does. How many things come out of the spider? Just the web. Just one. So, and is the spider separate from the web? Of course. The spider is separate from the web. The spider can chill out on the tree, come back to its web. So you can see the limitation of the example. So now, if it uses the spider analogy, which is a very good analogy to say that Brahman is the material cause and the efficient cause, like the spider. That means from Brahman arises the material, the world. From consciousness arises the material. And from consciousness arises the intelligence, which puts that material to look like an intelligent structure that we call the universe. That's the analogy. So Brahman is like a spider. But then immediately you think, but what's the limitation of the example? Well, the spider has a motive for the web. The spider is different or can be separate from the web, and only one kind of creation comes out of the spider. So this example becomes good but not good enough because it is still limiting. From this Brahman comes the world of variety. And so the next example corrects this limitation, and it says the earth and plants analogy. Now what arises from earth? Many bushes, many roses with different colors. And are they made from the same stuff as earth? Absolutely. The earth is made of minerals. The roses and trees are made of minerals. And are those plants always connected to the earth? Absolutely. So this example compensates for the limitations of the first example. It wants to show you that Brahman is like the earth, from which arises variety, and that which arises from Brahman is never separate from Brahman. It's made of the same stuff. But the plants are sentient, right? Plants are sentient. But then you say, well, what about insentient? How can I understand? You could have sentient arise out of sentient, But what about insentient, something completely different in nature, arising from a conscious being? How is that possible? And so the next example fills that limitation, and he uses the hair growth analogy. And he wants to say that hair grows. What is hair? And nails. Insentient, inert. And the person's head is sentient and conscious person. So it wants to show you that from a conscious being, you can have inert rocks arising, inert nails and hair. So it corrects the example or the limitation of the earth and plants analogy. So in that same way, from Brahman arises the five elements which then mold and shape themselves into atoms and particles, time and space, both sentient and insentient. Now, the best example to fill all three at once is the dream example. That's the best example we have in Vedanta. So in a dream, you have one being, you, who is both the material and the efficient cause of the dream, because the dream material comes out of you, the intelligence comes out of you or is dependent upon you. What manifests in the dream, your dream, is both sentient characters and insentient rocks. The dream is not apart from you, and you pervade the entire dream world. There's not one place in both the rocks in your dream and the sentient characters in your dream where you are not pervading it. It is entirely dependent upon your presence. Without you, the dream world would not arise. And in that dream, it manifests a character which you are pervading. Looking through the eyes of that character, you say what? I am. I am, and then you say the name. Oh, I am male character. Oh, I am, and then you say all of the attributes, the life story that is given to that one single character. And then one develops a complex, and they start to make a big thing about it. And then another character also has the same I am, and they start to ask the question, who made this world? Who made this universe? Where did this universe come from? What do you know? What religion do you follow? Oh, my religion is better than yours. And they start to form philosophies and start to have debates and start to even have quarrels around who made what and who is God. And they say, where is God? Who is God? There is no God. And they're all fighting together, all pervaded by you. And then a sage comes in and talks about the very knowledge that you, the character, are listening right now. And the sage says, the world and you are nothing but me. The same me that you are. I know it, you are yet to know it. And then Shaunaka says, okay, I want to sit down and listen. Shaunaka sits down and listens, and then we go into verse 6, and we say, it is unborn. It is formless. It is all-pervasive. And then the teacher asks you, if it's all-pervasive, then can it be apart from you? Can you be excluded from that? And then you say, no. And then the teacher says, if you're not excluded from that, and it is the only thing that is here, it is advaitam, it is non-dual, without a second, then can it be anything other than you here? You say, no. And then he says, so you are for a moment, for the time being, manifesting as this one character here, listening to the truth, listening to how it is. Just a matter of revealing it. And then you say, wow, what's next? And then the teacher says, well, the next verse is coming up. And that's going to be verse 8, an intensive verse about how creation came. A very interesting verse, I tell you. Now, before we close, what's the purpose of these analogies? There's only one purpose.
To understand?
Hmm?
To understand better? To understand better?
To understand better, definitely. What else? There's only one purpose, one general purpose. Viveka, between the cause and the effect. All it wants to show you is that whatever is manifest is an effect, and wherever there's an effect, its very cause is right there. The cause is never away from the effect. And thereby, we start to then ask the next question, what about tomorrow? The potential that is yet to come. Where is that? That is also in Akshara Brahma. And this will be in the next verse, how creation came, which is a big verse. So I guess this will be tomorrow. When we meet up, it will be Bhagavad Gita. So we will close and then do homework from verse 7 to 8, right? Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.